Hi team, this is Daniel with the Revive Real Estate team. In this video, we're going to cover how to read the county's appraisal district information, or what we call it HCAD. Obviously that will vary depending on your county. This is one of the most essential tools in our real estate business. Every county has its own appraisal district website. So whether it's Hidalgo, Cameron, Star, or elsewhere, the format may look a little different, but the information is very, very similar. To start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a random property address. I'm going to pull up a property that we here recently sold, 406 Imperial. Keep in mind, this is all public information. As I said, I just pulled up to the county's website. What I'm going to start off is I'm going to search up on this tab, 406 Imperial, and it's giving me here the property ID. So once I pulled up the property ID, just give it a second to load. On the left-hand side, we start with the account information. This is very interesting because this is what we can oftentimes use into Brokerment to our transaction coordination software to populate for our transactions. But also, very important, it has the legal description here. This is the description that we're using for sales in Texas. We do not use addresses. Addresses can be incorrect. Legal descriptions have to be accurate. So on the right-hand side, you will see the owner information. This will show the current owner of the property. If you're dealing with the client and you're not dealing with the proper owner name, verify it and make sure who you're dealing with. We need to make sure that we're preventing fraud. If it does not add up, then we need to figure out, why do we not have the same name? Are we dealing with somebody that is deceased? Do you have a will? Do you have an affidavit of heirship? How do you have legal authority to be able to sell this property? Because that person has to sign all of our contracts. Now, on this bottom section, we have our mailing address. That is where they're paying their taxes from. Very commonly, you will see that people are not paying taxes from that address. That is often a very telltale sign that this is not a property that they're residing at. This is typically somewhere that they're using for rental purposes, and maybe they're paying taxes from somewhere else where they actually live. So if you're trying to track somebody down, the mailing address is very, very helpful. Now we hop into one of the most important sections, ownership and exemptions. If you see on the exemptions tab, like we see here, it's blank. That means this individual is not taking a homestead exemption, not taking an elderly exemption if they're above, I think, 65. And it means they're also not taking a disabled veteran exemption. Texas does not have state income tax. So the way our state is able to derive income for our roads and our schools and our infrastructure is through property taxes. So we have very, very expensive property taxes. What they've allowed as individuals that are not investors to be able to save money is they've allowed us to take exemptions which drastically reduce our property taxes. So if you see you're at a client's appointment and they are living at the property and they're not currently taking a homestead exemption, you need to make sure that they take that, because we're talking about thousands of dollars worth of value. Disabled veterans can pay zero taxes in Texas, and people over 65 also are able to freeze their school taxes, saving them a lot of taxes. So at a listing appointment, very, very important, read that exemption, ask them if they're doing that. Pointing out the missing exemptions can make you look like a hero. Oftentimes our client's objection to the commission is, we have a $7,000 to sell their property for them. But if I can save them $4,000 on their taxes, that's a very huge value add, and it shows that we have a lot of care for the client. So this is another big benefit of owning in your personal name versus an LLC. Most exemptions cannot be claimed by an LLC because that would be an investment property, and the state doesn't want to give those benefits to LLCs for investments. Next is the value section. This is where we go over what it's currently valued at, and this is where we kind of have to battle some of the misconception that clients have. Oftentimes our clients believe that the higher their property value is according to the county, which in this case is 288, the higher it is, that means the higher their property is worth. However, that's actually not true. In fact, it's actually inversely correlated, because if I can buy your house and it's identical to your neighbor's house right next over, and it's identical property and your taxes are lower, that means if I buy your house, my monthly mortgage is still going to be cheaper. So that means I can afford to pay you more money. So we actually want to educate our clients. I want the county to think your house is worth as little as humanly possible, and I want the market to think your house is worth as much as humanly possible. And this can be fought every year. We'll do a separate video on how to fight the taxes. If your clients don't want to do it, let's make sure we connect them with somebody that can. There's people here in our office that do it, and they will charge a fee. They will only charge you if they save you money. Now, this is what it's currently being valued at. Now we go into the taxing units. This is where we break down who they're paying taxes to. I'll oftentimes get the question, is this in the city? What city is this in? If they're paying here to the city of San Juan, that means that they're inside of city. If you see that they're not paying to the city, that will typically mean that the property is in the county. This is where we can also see if there's a property improvement district or a municipal utility district. These are separate tax percentages for specific subdivisions. Like Tres Lagos is a planned improvement district where homeowners pay a slightly higher tax rate for the amenities of the community. So keep that in mind. Our clients deserve to be informed to know what taxes they're going to inherit if they purchase the property. Now going to the improvement section. Here we have the size of the home. This will break down how large the house is. Like we covered in our listing appointment video, we want to make sure the house is the right size. If the house is off by a certain size, we want to make sure that gets corrected. So that's where we ask our clients, do you have a plan? Do you have a footprint? Do you have an appraisal or an appraiser measurement that shows the exact square footage? And we want to make sure it's the same. If not, we want to go ahead and submit that information to the county and they can update that for us. Keep in mind, if the county thinks your house is smaller, if you give them a larger footprint, they will slightly up your value and it will lead to you raising your taxes. Oftentimes what I'll have clients do is clients will have a house that's larger, but they don't correct the county on their information until they're ready to sell because they don't want their taxes to go up. So just something to consider. And then we finally get here to the last sections. Pretty simple. We got the lot information. Sometimes this will have the dimensions, but in case you have any doubts on what the square footage is of the lot, it'll tell you right here. Oftentimes, you know, it's you'll see maybe just acreage or just square footage. In this scenario, it has both. Now to the final section here, we have the deed history. This is going to show any transactions, sales, refinances, affidavits of heirship. If you want more details, you can copy this number right here, the instrument number, and paste it into Vanguard search on the county website. Pull up the exact recorded document, and you can see the warranty deed for this transaction. So that's a separate video that we'll make, but you have access to all the information that was for any transaction going back to, I think, 2021 for this property. I have seen transactions going back to like the 1940s, and that's all publicly available. So make sure you use that. That's a free public tool. It's available to all of us, and it's a huge way to separate yourself from other agents. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.